Hi, this is Stephen Pierce, and I want to welcome you to another issue of The Power to Create Profits. And with me today is an amazing guest. His name is Greg Ryder, and for many of you, you probably have no idea who Greg is, but that's about to change, and it's going to be extremely important for you to pay attention to what Greg has to say, because what he's been able to accomplish in his life since he was 21 years old and what he's actually doing today will help you to be able to take your ideas and your products and scale them up market to a lot of large corporations. But before I get into my first question for Greg, I want Greg to just take a few minutes and let everybody know a little bit about you, since for the most part people won't know who you are.
Okay, I have one of the very unique opportunities to get into the investment banking world at the age of 19. And what happened to me is I read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, which probably everyone's really familiar with, and I took it literally. So the next thing you know, I bought the firm that I worked for. So at the age of 21, I was the youngest owner and operator of a full-service brokerage firm in the history of the United States.
Wow.
I tell people that was my first big mistake in life.
Okay.
So here I am rolling in Wall Street and doing IPOs, mergers and acquisitions, and raising money for companies. And so, I think what got me there was just the commitment, the elimination of fear, and just the process of the mental thing that I can do it. But over the 15 years of doing that investment banking, I had a lot of chance and opportunity to deal with big corporations, big financings, and kind of understand that methodology. So I think that kind of gives me, and then through that whole process, I think the other thing that's given me a lot of wisdom and knowledge is seeing a lot of companies fail and a lot of companies succeed. And when you're raising money from investors and taking companies public, you tend to try to monitor that, because it's not fun investing in a company that goes up, out of business, and blows up. So you really want to find out why companies succeed. So I utilize that in everything I'm doing.
Right. Now, with that experience, you've leveraged that in a massive way, to where you are today, because now you're working with some of the major corporations. We're talking like Fortune 1000s, Fortune 500s, and Fortune 100s. What are some of the companies that you've been working with?
Well, let me tie that into one of the things we're doing now is the company's called Children's Educational Network, and I have this vision to build this internet, this safe internet for kids that we call Tukey, the ultimate kids internet. So my goal is to do joint ventures and to leverage the brand, the loyalty, and the customer base of large corporations to get distribution of our products. So right now we're in discussions with Sports Illustrated for Kids, Boys Life, and Boy Scouts of America. We've done deals with New Line Cinema, the billion-dollar movie production company. We're in negotiations with Walden Media. We've done deals with American Family Association, which is the largest Christian activist organization on the net. We're in negotiations with Focus on the Family, which is probably the largest family organization there is on planet Earth. So a lot of big corporations, Roadrunner, Cox Cable, and all those type of corporations that we're going after to leverage their brand, their database to accomplish what we want to do.
Well, now, a lot of small entrepreneurs would love to be able to scale up market into those major corporations and strike joint venture opportunities. So my question for you is, how can people unleash their power to create profits in the area where you become an expert at as far as dealing with large corporations and developing joint ventures?
That is the tricky part. And so the first thing is you got to get in, and you got to get to the right person. So the first thing I want to kind of tell everyone is, utilize your relationships. Ask around. Who do you know? Like, I'm working on Hewlett-Packard right now. There's another one that we're in negotiations with. And when I got to Hewlett-Packard, I met somebody who was like on the manufacturing line for their computers. Well, he obviously is not the right person, but I called him up and said, I was referred to you by my friend. And he was like, well, I really can't help you. I'm like, well, who in your organization should I go to talk about this? He got through his directory. He looked up somebody that didn't know him. He didn't know them. And then I called them up and used his name. And because I used his name, an employee of Hewlett-Packard, they answered my phone call. They took my phone call. Then from there, that guy wasn't the right guy. So I said to him, who should it be? And then he referred me to another department. And then when I went to that other department, I used that gentleman's name. And so I had this chain effect, so I finally got to the person who's in charge of cause-related marketing and doing things for the community, and now we're in negotiations for them to provide us with computer equipment, brand recognition, marketing, and distribution by going through the name chain and utilizing the relationships of each person to just get on the phone and get the door open. That's key number one. Key number two that I've used very, very effectively is you go in through a licensing department or the marketing and advertising department. And a lot of these big organizations, especially the ones I'm targeting, they have licensing divisions. And so sometimes you can go in under the auspice, I'm going to do a joint venture, and you can talk to them about, hey, I want to license the rights to some technology or some brand that you have, and you can kind of go in there, and if you can evangelize and sell that person on your concept, sometimes you can wiggle around towards a joint venture, sometimes you can just pay the licensing fee as an intro to get in. For instance, we did that with New Line Cinema. New Line Cinema did The Lord of the Rings, one of the biggest movies ever produced, and I went into the licensing division. Through getting into the licensing division, I figured, okay, now where's New Line associated in this corporate world? Well, guess what? They're owned by Time Warner. Guess what? Who else owns Time Warner? Sports Illustrated for Kids. So what I do, I called up Sports Illustrated for Kids, and I said, hey, we just did a deal, didn't tell them it was a licensing deal, we just did a deal with New Line Cinema. I happen to be in New York. I'd like to come by and talk to you about what I'm doing. I just did a deal with one of your sister companies. They said, no problem. Open up the doors wide open. I came right in, and I happened to get to the right person accidentally and didn't have to go through any chains of communication from that standpoint. So you've got to use these methods to get in and get a conversation going. And then I think the last thing, but not least, is you have to recognize in large corporations, these people you deal with, they're in boxes. They are not like entrepreneurs. They're not flexible in their business development. They have no flexibility to cut deals. They have their little box, and that's what they do, and they have to stay within that box, within that corporate environment and their budgets. So you really have to play the Socrates method of selling and start asking questions. What do they do? What is your goal to accomplish? What division are you working in? What's their hot buttons? And then once you find their hot button, all entrepreneurs should be able to dance on their toes and tailor a presentation, a joint venture offer, or whatever to meet the needs of what it is they want. And you get there by asking questions.
Wow. That was a boatload of information and some insights from somebody that is doing it himself to get into these large corporations and scale up with joint ventures. So you heard it from Greg Ryder himself. You can use the opportunity that is available with these doors into these major corporations. It may take a little time. You may have to go through a chain like Greg was talking about, talking to one person to another person to another person, and just wait until you actually hit on that key person that can help you. So don't be discouraged if you hit somebody and that's not the right person, correct?
Correct.
You just keep on working and working, because obviously it seems like patience has paid off for you big time, because you know that it'll take some time to get you the right person, but you're willing to work that process and stay on the phones and keep knocking on those doors.
Tenacity.
Tenacity. You heard it.
Tenacity.
Listen, this is Greg Ryder. How can people learn a little bit more about you?
Well, Children's Educational Network is our corporate website. Our website to get your free software to protect your children from all the perils of the internet is Tuki.com, Tuki.com. And I would love for everyone to go there and help me evangelize my cause to make the internet safe for kids.
All right. You heard it from Greg Ryder. Check out his website. And this is Stephen Pearson. Until next time, remember, you do have the power to create profits.